Venezuelan president during his program with Maduro Mas reported the denunciation made by the executive vice president Delcy Rodriguez on Monday against ExxonMobil. In Argentina, authorities registered at least 16 people dead and over 100 missing after the passing of a storm. China's tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods go into effect on Monday in response to the recent fees set by Washington. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, during his program Con Maduro Más, supported the denunciations made by the executive vice president Delcy Rodriguez on Monday against ExxonMobil. It was shown evidence and proof of the payment of lobbying by the transnational ExxonMobil, which operates illegally on undelimited waters in favor of the government of Guyana, so that the U.S. government would suspend the operating license of the oil company Chevron in Venezuela. The head of state also revealed that these documents have arrived with sufficient material, evidence, and elements. He recalled that Chevron has more than a century of oil operations in Venezuela, and this company has shown that it wants to invest and has done so, and has reached a good level of growth together with the Venezuelan state, in accordance with the laws and the Bolivarian constitution. The executive vice president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, unveiled on Monday a document that evidences ExxonMobil's lobbying efforts against oil subsidiaries in the Latin American nation. In her remarks, Rodriguez informed that ExxonMobil paid a lobbyist to have Chevron expelled from Venezuela. Furthermore, the high official denounced how the company has been conspiring against the nation for over a decade in complicity with the government of Guyana, seeking to undermine its economic stability. In this regard, the executive vice president stressed that Guyana is not a victim but a protagonist who has been playing its role against the Bolivarian nation. In addition, Vice President Rodriguez condemned the unilateral coercive measures imposed against the country with the aim to impact the oil sector, in spite of negative consequences they would have on the Venezuelan population. Rodriguez also denounced the involvement of the far right in this matter, which has done everything possible to damage the country's economy and stability.
These ideologists produced a document. That is this document. What was the purpose of this document? To influence the decision makers and the authorities of the United States administration in order to say that more sanctions not only, obviously, cause great economic suffering in the population, but also generate possibilities of regime change. If you see here, because they refer to something that is a lie, they say that a period of humanitarian measures in favor of Venezuela in the years 2016, 2020, 74% of the unilateral coercive measures against Venezuela are concentrated.
Likewise, the Venezuelan vice president denounced that in the event of any threat against any state authority, they will hold the U.S. company ExxonMobil responsible.
They are asking for more internal political pressure, more internal political pressure. What are they referring to? The coup d'etat? They are trying, incessantly, they are trying. They have already tried, they are trying to undermine the territorial integrity of Venezuela. They have already tried. I denounce responsibly that if something happens to a high authority of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, I hold the ExxonMobil directly responsible for the plans it has against Venezuela.
Moreover, Rodriguez denounced that ExxonMobil paid to get Chevron oil company out of Venezuela.
It is a strategy paid by ExxonMobil. There is the evidence, here it is. It is said by a former minister of Guyana. It is not said by President Nicolas Maduro, the Vice President, Diosdado Cabello, Jorge Rodriguez, no. It is said by the former minister who was the one who managed and negotiated the contract with ExxonMobil, who says there how he was paid, what he was paid for, and this document, in fact, to withdraw licenses to transnational companies, among them the most important one, an American company, Chevron, which has been in Venezuela for more than 100 years. This document was made by the same ideologists who intend to attack Venezuela in order to steal the oil that belongs to Venezuelans. The president has said it, this is a shot in the foot, this step taken by the United States is a shot in the foot.
In this context, the Secretary General of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, reiterated that President Nicolas Maduro paused communications with the United States after the suspension of the license to Chevron.
Well, the Venezuelan right wing, as we received these people as human beings, first they said that we are receiving them as heroes and that when they governed they were going to receive them as criminals. Let us remember how most of the Venezuelans arrived to the United States, through the Coyotes, all this opposition headed by Leopoldo López, Guaidó, by Carlos Vecchio, by Paparoni, by Pizarro, by Leopoldo López, by Julio Borges and by La Seona too. Because they are all linked, they are all brothers in violence. So now Venezuelans, all Venezuelans are bad. The United States made a decision to suspend Chevron's license and we say something is happening here, so we suspend everything. It was the president's decision because do you remember how this agenda started? What was the agenda? The zero agenda.
Cabello pointed out that the territory of Guyana Esequiba belongs to the country by maritime law and recommended the government of Guyana not to interfere with Venezuela.
We will continue advancing because this is our territory. Everything on the east side of the Essequibo River belongs to Venezuela. And this generates rights in the sea. And this generates other rights. They have tried to provoke our armed force, the Guyanese army. The servile that they have from the ExxonMobil there as president, to provoke our armed force. They should remember that when they provoke this country, 200 years can pass and we don't give up. We don't give up, Mr. Employee of the ExxonMobil that governs Guyana, don't mess with Venezuela. We don't mess with anyone,
We have a first short break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Argentina, authorities registered at least 16 people dead, over 100 missing after the passing of a storm. In the port city of Bahia Blanca and other nearby cities, the water caused damages and left thousands of neighbors without essential services. Security forces intensified the rescue work and donations from all parts of the country continued to arrive, while classes were suspended and the judicial recess remains in effect. On the other hand, parliamentary authorities criticized the conditioning of Javier Milei's government to help the administration of the province of Buenos Aires to face the catastrophe after the chief of cabinet, Guillermo Francos, expressed that the reconstruction of the city is a matter only for the municipality and the province. And after the tragedy in Bahia Blanca, it was learned that some 485 workers of the National Emergency Department had been dismissed. 3 days before the storm, the nearly 500 employees were dismissed by the Ministry of Human Capital. In addition, the department was closed as part of Milei's cutbacks in public agencies. Said department was in charge of providing assistance in case of catastrophes, sending supplies and medical professionals, psychologists, social workers to contain the emergencies and assist the victims. In Honduras, presidential pre-candidates Rixi Moncada, Salvador Nasralla, and Nastri Asfura declared themselves as the winners of the primary elections in their respective parties. To this moment, the National Electoral Council of Honduras continued the vote counting as the three main political organizations, which are Libre, the National Party, and the Liberal Party, decide their candidates. More than 5.8 million Hondurans were summoned to vote this Sunday in elections marked by technological advances and a continued process of democratic recovery after the country was submerged in a deep social crisis. The winning presidential pre-candidates in the first contest will face each other in the general elections of November 30th, 2025, when the country will choose its next president, deputies, and mayors. And several Panamanian unions have been picketing to reject the Social Security Fund bill passed by the National Assembly. In this context, the People United for Life Alliance announced the governmental plans to take over the entity's funds to privatize them with an individual system, which was the proposal of the popular movement. Likewise, the alliance denounced legislators' maneuvers in their attempt to both raise the retirement age and offer lower pensions that are far from being profitable. In addition, social movements warned that they had a list of over 15 possible sources where funds could be siphoned from the state. The 69th session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women kicked off on Monday at the United Nations headquarters in New York to focus on gender equality and empowerment. The session, which will take place until March 21st, will review the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action and assess the challenges affecting its implementation. In the past, the Commission has addressed challenges such as climate change, gender-based violence, and the need to ensure women's full participation in decision-making and development strategies. Previous meetings led to a consensus on solutions to end women's poverty, ranging from investing in policies and programs to address gender inequalities. We now have a second short break coming up before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back. The United States claims to expect substantial progress in Ukraine talks to be held in Saudi Arabia on Tuesday. It has been stated by Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, on Monday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said to arrive in the kingdom, while the U.S. delegation, made up of Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, hopes to close mineral deals as well as move forward in a peace agreement and ceasefire. For his part, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated that what the U.S. and everyone are waiting for is a definite sign of Ukraine's desire for peace. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced that U.S. aid will cancel the majority of its programs. In his X account, Rubio stated that after a 6-week review, they are officially canceling 83% of programs at U.S. aid. According to U.S. diplomat, the 5,200 contracts that are now canceled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve the core national interests of the United States. He also added that in consultation with Congress, they intend for the remaining 18% of programs they are keeping to now be administered more effectively under the State Department. The U.S. aid agency was created in 1961 to contribute humanitarian aid through international programs in 120 countries. And in China, new tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods go into effect this Monday, a measure imposed in response to recent fees set by Washington against Chinese products. Precisely, the Asian nation will apply a 15% tax on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, while goods such as soybeans, pork, beef, fruit, and dairy products will be subject to a 10% tariff. In this context, the Chinese government assured that the current trade situation between the two countries is the result of market dynamics and not a deliberate intention by the country to generate a trade deficit in the United States. Trade with China has historically allowed the U.S. to import quality products at lower cost, benefiting consumers and fostering job creation in several sectors. Vatican authorities informed that Pope Francis' conditions remain stable after a quiet Sunday night. In addition, the press office of the Holy See underscored the Pope's case complexity and its reserved prognosis, but stated the Pontiff continues with his treatment and has resumed his respiratory and motor therapies. They also informed a rosary was held on Monday for praying for the Pope's health. Furthermore, they unveiled the Pontiff was briefed on the floods in Argentina and expressed closeness and prayers to the people affected. In the northeastern Upper Nile state of South Sudan, clashes broke out between forces allied to the President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar, posing a threat to the 2018 governmental alliance. Last week, an armed youth militia attacked the Sudanese armed forces, from which the police arrested 2 government ministers and a deputy army chief allied to Machar. In this context, a UN helicopter was shot Friday amid a rescue mission, killing a crew member. In response to the incident, the chair of the UN Commission on Human Rights in the country, Jasmine Suka, urged for peace as she warned the nation was at the brink of civil war. Meanwhile, the U.S. administration withdrew Sunday all its non-emergency staff from South Sudan amid the ongoing confrontations. And Gabon's interim president, Brice Oligui Nguema, will face 3 challengers in presidential polls, which are set to take place on April 12th. The official list was published by the Interior Minister on Sunday, including his main challenger, Alain-Claude Billy-Bisne. In addition to former executive of the Gabonese Democratic Party, Dr. Stefan Germain Iloko, and lawyer and tax inspector Joseph Lapence Isigon, 19 others were rejected, but given 72 hours to which lodge an appeal with the Constitutional Court. Nguema came to power in a 2023 military coup that ended the long-standing rule of his predecessor, Ali Bongo, and his family. All 4 are running as independents, with campaigns scheduled to begin on March 29th. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.